You ever wake up thinking it's just another day, coffee in hand, only to find your driveway blocked off with prison-grade barbed wire like something straight out of an escape movie, except the warden is your neighbor in a pantsuit holding a grass ruler? I wish I was kidding. That was the morning I realized suburban living wasn't just about mowing your lawn. It was about surviving your HOA, especially when they decide to wrap your life in red tape and then top it with wire. And you know what? If you've ever had a neighbor try to run your life with a smile and a fine print threat, buckle up, because my HOA didn't just cross a line, they literally fenced it in and dared me to notice. So picture this, it's 5 a.m. sky, barely changing color, and there's this brand new sparkling chain link fence topped with barbed wire running across my gravel driveway, a driveway that was wide open when I went to bed. Next to it stands this woman, Lewis Hale, chairwoman of the Homeowners Association, dressed like she's about to moderate a presidential debate, except she's gripping a ruler meant for measuring grass. She's got a portable microphone like she's running for office, launching into a speech about neighborhood standards and how my little ranch doesn't fit the aesthetic vision of the area. Meanwhile, I'm standing there in boots and pajamas thinking, this isn't the Wild West, but it sure feels like I'm about to get run out of town by someone who's allergic to gravel. I spent 15 years building bridges for the county, so I know my way around property lines, permits, and more than a few bureaucrats who think paperwork can solve anything. I ask Lewis to show me the documentation for this barbed wire beauty, and she waves around this folder like it's the Magna Carta. One glance at her official survey, though, and I spot the problem. The fence isn't just blocking my access, it's a full 3 feet onto my property. When I call her on it, she doesn't apologize or offer to fix it. Nope. She doubles down, lecturing me about standardization and the greater good, as if I'm personally lowering everyone's property value just by existing. That's about when my neighbor Malcolm Simmons strolls over from his auto shop. Guys lived in this neighborhood longer than most of the houses. He pulls me aside and lays it out. Justin, these folks don't stop till someone stops them. They'll bury you in paperwork and legal fees if you let them. He's got that old school cut through the BS wisdom you only get from decades of HOA wars. And he's right. Lewis isn't just obsessed with rules, she gets off on controlling people. Lewis, overhearing us, doesn't miss a beat. She threatens me, says if I move or touch that fence, I'll get slapped with a $3,000 fine for destroying community property. And when I point out again that it's on my land, she gives me this smile, the kind that makes you want to check your wallet, and says, "Prove it in court, Mr. Patterson. This isn't the wild frontier anymore. The smugness just about did me in." But here's the thing, 15 years in public works teaches you to spot opportunities. Where Lewis saw a chance to flex her HOA muscle, I saw a loophole with her name on it. I told her I'd need to review the paperwork, acting as cowed as she clearly wanted, but as soon as she strutted off microphone and all I was in my office digging out every deed plat and survey I ever owned, sure enough, fence was 3 feet over the line, my line. That's not just an eyesore, that's theft. And if she wanted a war of paperwork, I could bring more paper than Office Depot. Malcolm shows up with coffee and finds me sketching a plan for a pedestrian bridge right over Louie's fence. He bursts out laughing. "Justin, you might be crazier than she is, but I like your style." 3 days later, there's a wooden bridge spanning her barbed wire fence, hand-painted sign, and all toll $1. I'm not actually planning to charge, just making a point. Simon Taylor, the local delivery guy, shows up with $1, records himself crossing, and suddenly there's a line of neighbors with bills in hand. Selfies, laughter, a carnival atmosphere. Malcolm grabs a folding chair and starts directing traffic, joking about bridge crossing etiquette. The fence is now the punchline of the block. Louis comes marching back, mad as a hornet, microphone and folder at the ready to shut down my public nuisance. I hand her my construction permit filed by the book stamped by the county. She snatches it, fuming, sputters about aesthetic violations, and when she tries to grab my toll sign, underestimates how slick the dew made the grass. Down she goes, straight into the mud, blazer, ruined hair a mess, and the crowd just loses it. Even Simon catches it on camera. For the first time since I met her, Lewis is speechless, and it's glorious. But the victory's short-lived. Next morning, my bridge is nothing but charred, splintered wreckage. There's a piece of fabric cream-colored high-end caught on the rail, looking suspiciously like the suit Lewis wore to yesterday's HOA meeting. Malcolm just shakes his head. Tells me this is the old HOA's playbook. When rules don't work, they get dirty. Simon records the aftermath for evidence, and Mr. Donnelly, 3 doors down, mentions seeing a silver SUV. Lewis drives one parked near my place late last night. Piece by piece, I collect what I need: fabric sample footage of Lewis in that suit, even a fancy cigarette butt only she smokes. The more she plays dirty, the more careful I get. Instead of blowing up, I get even. Friday, I start rebuilding, this time bigger, with LED lights, solid lumber, and a camera pointing straight at the approach. We add carved designs from the local kids and a new sign: Patterson's Bridge, check-in, $1 proceeds to neighborhood projects. Simon spreads the word, and now people are flocking to take pictures and cross the legendary bridge. Communities never felt more alive. That's when Louie escalates. She starts a rumor campaign, goes door to door waving fake engineering reports, claiming the bridge is a death trap, threatening lawsuits if anyone gets hurt. Suddenly, folks who laughed last week now eye the bridge like it's radioactive. But I'm ready. I set up a display by the toll box, photos of the damage, the fabric sample screenshots of Lewis in that suit. No accusations, just the facts. And it works. People connect the dots, outrage builds, the tide turns. Turns out even folks who don't like bridges hate liars more. The final act comes at the HOA meeting. Community centers packed, tension thick. Lewis struts in with a new suit and a stack of papers, tries to spin her tale, but halfway through, Melanie Walters, the HOA secretary, stands up, drops a pile of financial records on the table, and calmly exposes Lewis for embezzling HOA funds to pay for bridge destruction. The crowd erupts. There's yelling demands for her resignation, and not a soul on her side. The vote's unanimous, she's out, Melanie's in, and the bridge stands. But Lewis isn't done. That weekend, my security cams catch her hiring local thugs to vandalize my property. Police swoop in, arrest everyone, and find calls to Lewis on the vandals' phones. Case closed. Her lawyer drops, her criminal charges stack up, and within weeks her house is up for sale, a neighborhood punchline. Here's the kicker: I buy her house at auction, turn it into a community center. The bridge becomes a landmark. The HOA finally focuses on, helping people. And the story of Toll, the $1, goes viral thanks to Simon's videos. 6 months later, we hold a block party on the bridge. Lewis calls, trying to apologize. I tell her the community's open, but trust is earned in actions, not words. So if you're out there reading this and fighting your own HOA tyrant, just remember, a bridge can be more than a way to cross a line. Sometimes it's how you show people they don't have to take it. Sometimes it's how you build a community. And sometimes, just sometimes, poetic justice looks like a toll sign, a crowd of laughing neighbors, and a sunset over a bridge that used to be a fence. That's my story. Now it's your turn. Tell me, where do you stand on neighborhood power trips, HOA overreach, and fighting back with a little creativity? Drop your craziest HOA story, or what you'd have done in my shoes. Let's see who's got the wildest suburban war story, because sometimes building a bridge really is the best revenge.